Hello, I'm the Media Wiz, because one art form wasn't enough. Let's talk about Chuck E. Cheese. Again. Well, it's been years since I first looked at Chuck E. Cheese with my first ever review on its Christmas live show, but last year I did take a look at one of its many video games, so now we'll be looking at a straight-to-video movie made by Chuck E. Cheese, that being 1999's Chuck E. Cheese in the Galaxy 5000. Like you'd expect, being released in an early internet environment, this film was only viewable if people bought the VHS tape of it at the restaurants. But since the film is now free to view on YouTube, we'll be taking a look for ourselves. You want to know the weirdest thing about this movie? You want to know what studio helped them produce this? Yes, really. Let's jump on in. This is Chuck E. Cheese in the Galaxy 5000. We begin at a Chuck E. Cheese restaurant as we get some happy people waving at the camera. Guess I should have expected the tape to come with some kind of pre-movie commercial for Chuck E. Cheese. Nope, it's part of the movie. They're just showing off the place before they get into the plot. In enters the Chuck E. Cheese gang as they sit down at a booth to discuss some business matters. Instead of doing this in a back office like most business types, but that's because these guys are too cool and hip for that. For that matter, you think they would have done this before opening that day. Anyway, it seems this meeting was set up by the chef, Pasquale, in regards to this kid, Charlie, who has a problem.
I think you all know a Charlie Rocket.
Yeah, hey, sure, we've seen him around the neighborhood.
Yeah, hi,
Charlie.
Hey, guys.
Charlie is the reason I called this meeting tonight. He has a little problem.
Let me guess, Charlie. Those bozos over at Little Caesars giving you a hard time? Maybe it's Papa John's? It was the Papa, wasn't it? Either way, we'll give him hell. Nah, that's not it. He says that his family are in financial trouble because their tractor engine is broken, and replacing it will cost $50,000. If they can't fix it, then the family farm will go out of business, and they just might wind up destitute. Now, aside from Charlie needing money, they don't really go into his family's financial problem that much, but, wouldn't it be easier to buy a new tractor? I mean, roughly, the cheapest tractors are at least $10,000, and yeah, that's still pricey, but certainly less than $50,000. The gang agrees to help the kid, of course they do, and begin thinking of ways to raise the money.
Oh, we could all get jobs. You know, I saw a help wanted sign down at the Chicken Palace.
I don't think so. Ooh. Oh.
Oops.
Ooh, where do humans get off anyway, eating poor little defenseless birds? Are they crazy? Where would they be without their eggs for breakfast every morning? And how do they repay us? By giving us the deep fry?
Oh, yas, Queen. I am like 3 steps ahead of you, Helen Henny. We're going to take to Twitter, and we're going to show those bastards over at KFC, Chick-fil-A, Popeyes, and all these other chicken places with some good old-fashioned Twitter activism.
Why did they even need to get new jobs? They're part of a successful chain of pizza restaurants. You think they'd have more than a few bucks to spare to help this kid out? Either way, Pasquale has a better idea.
Racers from many planets will pit their skills and courage in the hopes of winning the grand prize, along with pride for their planetary home.
The grand prize for first place is a 30 kilar, which amounted to about 52,000 US dollars.
Whoa!
Travel to outer space and participate in an intergalactic race tournament to win prize money. Okay.
That's nuts. You can count me out of it.
I don't blame you, Jasper. It's very dangerous. I don't blame any of you if you don't want to go.
But Chucky gets his friends on board with the idea through a musical number.
Come on, everybody, there's just no need to worry. Let's get those legs a-kicking. We'll set the pace and win the race on the intergalactic speedway. The galaxy's for you. Oh, the galaxy's for me. The galaxy's for you and me. Yeah!
So everybody's just all of a sudden on board with the plan because they performed a song and dance number?
How come common sense goes flying out the window every time he sings a song?
I'm with you, Jasper. We're on the same page. So, with everyone in agreement, how exactly are they supposed to get to outer space? Well, they go into one of the back rooms where there's a teleportation machine that beams them to the planet Orion. So, they need to win this race to get roughly $50,000, but they just have a teleportation machine just casually set up in the back room. Do you know how many billions of dollars it would take to get that thing built, let alone working properly?
That's a good luck.
Hey, Charlie!
With the powers of the wannabe TARDIS, they end up on planet Orion, which is obviously going to be on a green screen for a majority of the running time. So get used to these characters running around in what looks like an N64 game, as well as the typical trope of characters not needing proper space gear to breathe and roam an alien planet. I mean, those costumes are restrictive enough as they are. Could you imagine if they put them in spacesuits? That just would have made things even worse for those poor actors underneath. So we see some of the competition, these Right Said Fred backup dancers called the X-Pilots, as well as an old cowboy called Flapjack, who used to work with Pasquale, showing them the vehicle he used to race in. Wait, hold on. So, Pasquale could have been an intergalactic race star, but he instead settled down on Earth and chose a life of making pizza. I mean, good for him doing what he loves, and I'm sure he gets a lot of joy out of making pizzas, but could you imagine how lucrative the latter would have been?
You see, many years ago, we named her the Songbird.
Can she still sing?
Well, sure she can. She just needs a little work.
I'll say.
Time's a-wasting. I'll go get my tools.
Man, sorry, Charlie.
It's a piece of junk.
Hey now, they said the same thing about the Millennium Falcon, and have you seen that thing? That thing made the Kessel Run in less than 12 parsecs.
Race car drivers are so cool.
Don't worry, I got it. No, I got it.
No, I've got it. Here, I'd appreciate it if you kept this to yourself.
Excuse me. Bye, Chucky. I was going to see if you'd come to the soda shop with me after the qualifier tomorrow, but I didn't know that you were taken.
Oh, whoa, lady, settle down, control yourself, alright? Don't try to screw the giant rat man, please. This flirting upsets Helen and she storms off because, get this, she has a crush on Chucky. She even sings a whole love ballad about how much she likes him.
Why can't he see the real me? He doesn't even know who I am. How could you say that I'm just one of the guys?
I'm sure all of this makes perfect sense within Chuck E. Cheese lore. That's a thing that I just said. But I can't tell what's weirder. The fact that there's a love story in a Chuck E. Cheese movie, or the fact that it's between a rat and a chicken. After that, we see the gang have fixed up the Songbird and given it a new paint job. Because according to most media aimed at kids, hot rod flame paint jobs automatically mean that it's sure to be faster than it was before. And the race begins. As you'd expect, it looks like a racing game you'd see on the PlayStation 1.
There he is. There's a little mousey.
And Star Wars Episode 1 Racer is a lot different from the last time I played it.
Here comes the juice.
Whoa!
Oh, and of course the rival team are also a bunch of cheaters. Not surprising. I mean, if you've seen any sports movie ever, you could have probably come to that conclusion. Well, give these guys some credit. At least their cheating is less obvious than Wrangler's cheating in the little cars in the Great Race. All these years later, and I still don't understand what the hell is up with that editing. Anyway, Chucky and the gang lose the first round, leading to another song. This time it's a country song about how screwed they are.
If we walked out the door today, well, we might just save some face. We got a snowball's chance in Texas to win this race.
And of course the aliens of this planet not only look like average everyday humans, but also know Earth's southern fashion and dance moves. Why did they have this movie set on an alien planet again?
I guess you lucked out today, but tomorrow will be different.
Oh, maybe you could say that today's race separated the mice from the men.
Helen mouths off to Chucky and that groupie chick from earlier, so she runs off with the X-Pilots, and they let it slip that they're using some kind of chemical to help win the race. That being Zoom gas, and it's named after its creator and their boss, this dude, Dr. Zoom, who's for some reason dressed like a pimp. And he tells Helen all about his little Zoom gas through, you guessed it, another song sequence. Because it's roughly been a solid minute since we had one.
Guess the main ingredient? I doubt you could. It's extracted chicken and it's finger-licking good!
So wait, the secret ingredient in Zoom gas, this science fiction toxin that helps people pilot technologically advanced spacecrafts, is chicken. Well, get ready for the Colonel himself to find you and break his foot up in your ass, Dr. Zoom. Not only did you rip off his trademark, but you also tried jacking his wardrobe. Colonel Sanders will be none too pleased with you.
Tomorrow, shortly before the race, I'll be paying you a little visit. In short, you will be reduced to juice. Kate's that hen in the cellar under the computer station.
They could get away.
No. I'm going to leave them alone and not actually witness them dying. I'm just going to assume it all went to plan. What?
Back with Chucky, he tries to practice some driving, but with no such luck, as he crossfades inside a cavern as he lies on a bed, seemingly injured. Ah, the old Birdemic effect. Crossfade before you actually show something on screen that you couldn't film. It seems Chucky was saved by Pasquale One Kenobi over here, this time donning a Scottish accent.
You could have been killed in that crash, laddie. Doesn't that mean anything to you? Winning isn't everything, you know.
I don't care about winning. It's the money I want.
Oh, greedy, eh?
No, the money's not for me. It's for a friend. His family's in trouble and he needs my help.
Well, that's a wee bit different then.
Yet this is still less insulting to the Scottish than Sir Billy was. Chucky explains his intentions, so Harry the Hermit over here says he'll help him train. Not by doing any kind of driving or actual training behind the wheel. No, the training he puts him through involves running on a hamster wheel, games of whack-a-mole, and practicing an intense game of DDR. I seriously don't know what this is supposed to be.
Yes, turns believing into knowing that you can win.
I would joke that Chucky is high right now, but he still looks less baked here than he did in the Christmas special, so I'm gonna try and refrain. After training all night and the racer is just miraculously working again, did Harry fix it off screen or something? Chucky heads back to the racetrack. But what exactly is up with Helen? How's she doing?
I got it! Deep fried chickens, will ya? Oh my, the race! Come on, girls!
That was easy.
In the race, the ex-pilots cheat some more by putting Chucky and his friends in a smokescreen, meaning that there's only one way of upping them, and that's by shifting into a gear that no other racer has ever tried, not even the ex-pilots themselves. Chucky has a moment of doubt, but leave it to Charlie to tell him to believe in himself, which is all the gang needs to pull ahead and win the race. Oh, wait a minute, you guys have been piloting that thing with the kid in there as well? Seems a little reckless, don't you think? And so the movie ends with Dr. Zoom getting arrested, Chucky and friends getting the prize money, and then that's it. It just kind of stops. We don't see them go back to Earth. We don't even see that Charlie kid get a new tractor. They just jump to the credits. Haven't seen an ending that abrupt since coming out of our Shells tour. So that was Chuck E. Cheese in the Galaxy 5000. What the hell was that? I really didn't know what to expect from a Chuck E. Cheese movie, but as it goes, the plot is strange, the message of believing in yourself, while a good one, is really ham-fisted, and most of all, why did this have to be set in space? This easily could have been set on Earth at a regular go-kart track. But I can only assume they figured it would be easier to set it in space, because it would be more reason for them to just use a green screen instead of designing sets. I don't know, maybe they figured Space Jam was such a hit, and that originated from commercials, so maybe they could do their own space-themed sports movie. And for that matter, why did they even need to raise the money when they own a successful pizza chain? It was 1999, Chuck E. Cheese still had a ton of money back then. Well, if anything, there was more ambition in this movie than there was in their Christmas live show, so I guess it had that going for it. Next week, I'm going to be doing my first official St. Patrick's Day themed review, but until then, I'm the Media Whiz, because one art form wasn't enough.
Hey,
huggers.